All right.
入れない。
Well, while we're ready for the live stream to kick in, last week we ended up talking at the end about Hinayana Buddhism, right? What's Hinayana? And you asked the question, who determined what is Hinayana? Who said that about Hinayana? So I'm going to start by reading the dictionary definition of Hinayana, because in actuality, as I thought this through, and especially after I watched the video, what we're talking about right now is really the definition of Hinayana versus Mahayana. What the fivefold comparison is actually the Daishonin's clarification of what is Hinayana and what is Mahayana. Now, doctrinally, the Tripitaka is Hinayana, right?
Yep.
It's the agamas, or agamas, you know, right after it's the Deer Park preaching, right? Okay, so let's go into what the dictionary says about Hinayana Buddhism. One of the two major streams of Buddhism, the other being Mahayana, teachings that aim to attain the state of Arhat. After Shakyamuni Buddha's death, the Buddhist order experienced several schisms and eventually split into 18 or 20 schools. So what we saw with Nichiren Buddhism occurred with Shakyamuni's teaching as well, back in the former day of the law. All right. As a result, the monks of these schools were concerned with preserving the Buddhist teachings as they understood them and devoted themselves to doctrinal studies. As a result, they produced Abhidharma works, or doctrinal treatises and commentaries on the Buddhist teachings. Over time, however, they tended toward reclusiveness, while placing greater emphasis on aestheticism and doctrinal analysis. Okay, and aestheticism is like withdrawing, remember? Withdrawing from the real world and going and pondering, the deep thoughts that make you different and better than everybody else. Around the end of the 1st century BCE, or the beginning of the 1st century CE, so within that 200-year period, all right, Mahayana had never actually existed until then, all right, which was like 400 or 500 years after Shakyamuni's death. Understand that, all right? Again, according to the historical premise, it would have been about 1,000 years after his death, actually. Okay, because he was considered to be born around 950 or something like that, until academics proved otherwise, or have these premises that it's only 450 years before the birth of Christ. But at the beginning of the 1st century CE, a new Buddhist movement began to emerge, along with those that were dissatisfied with what they perceived as the sterile academicism and rigidity of the existing schools. Feeling it was important to model their behavior after that of the Buddha himself, they advocated bodhisattva practice, or practice to benefit others, and engaged themselves in instructing laypersons while practicing among them. These practitioners called themselves bodhisattvas, and their teachings Mahayana, great vehicle, indicating that their teaching was the vehicle to transport a great many people to enlightenment. In contrast, they referred to the earlier schools as Hinayana, lesser vehicle, implying that these teachings could only address a selected few and could not lead to the ultimate goal of enlightenment. The designation Hinayana was derogatory, and these schools naturally did not apply the name to themselves. Okay, so the Theravadins don't call themselves Hinayana, right? They were named that by the Mahayanists, who didn't appear until 500 years after all this began, which is why the Hinayanists say you guys made all this stuff up. You get it?
Yes.
All right? The Sanskrit Hina means lesser and Yana means vehicle or teaching. Mahayana Buddhists regarded Hinayana teachings as the way of voice hearers and cause awakened ones, right? The people of the two vehicles that could never attain Buddhahood, right? So they can only attain Arhat anyhow. All right? That's the highest they can go. Who seek their own emancipation from delusion and sufferings, yet lack practice to benefit others. They held that Hinayana teachings were inferior to Mahayana teachings. They held, okay, which set forth the way of bodhisattvas who strive to attain enlightenment for themselves and help others achieve it as well. Okay? So the Mahayanists came to this conclusion through the process of their own practice. And this was, again, another issue of somewhat departure. Okay? So there's a great deal of ponderance to go into what was the real lineage of the actual doctrine of the actual sutras. Okay? Because you had these intervals of around, the three great councils happened about, what, 100 years apart or something like that? So understand that's the basis of Hinayana from a doctrinal standpoint. It's the Deer Park teachings that of the Agama Sutras, which there are several. There's the long and the short and the four section whatever Agamas. There's a bunch of different Agamas. Not to worry about it, because it has nothing to do with what we're talking about. But I would like to then go back to the fact that right now we're in chapter 3, and we got to the point of what kicked that question off was on page 46, was Mahayana Buddhism seeks to clarify the cause of attaining happiness. Point 2, Mahayana of the fivefold comparison. The second was Mahayana Buddhism is superior to Hinayana Buddhism. Okay, so this is all coming from the opening of the eyes, right? This is the Daishonin qualifying the fivefold comparison that has not existed prior to now. All right? But who clarified this fivefold comparison? Nichikan. Okay? Through the threefold secret teaching. All right? And so let me go to the threefold secret teaching and qualify that. Where did it go? Here we go. Sutra books here. A doctrine, we've already read this once before. When I went through the Nichikan stuff and I said the 6-volume writings, I already read you this. So this you'll remember this. But again, it all ties in. A doctrine, threefold secret teaching on page 706 of the Buddhist Dictionary. A doctrine Nichikan, the 26th chief priest of Taisakiji Temple, established based on the passage in Nichiren's treatise, The Opening of the Eyes, that reads, the doctrine of 3,000 realms in a single moment of life is found only in one place, hidden in the depths of the lifespan chapter of the essential teaching of the Lotus Sutra. Nagarjuna, Vasubandhu were aware of it but did not bring it forth into the light. Tentai Chi alone embraced it and kept it ever in mind. Now, if you went to chapter 2, we read that. That was the part that we just read in chapter 2. Okay, if you skip down to the middle of it, the doctrine of 3,000 realms in a single moment of life is found, well, it's on page 25 of the lecture itself. Okay, that phrase. From that phrase, Nichikan was able to divine this fact, all right, which follows right into the fivefold comparison, which then is going to lead me to reference you to a Gosho in another definition, and then we'll start reading the lecture. He says, after that quote from the opening of the eyes Gosho, he says, Nichikan interpreted this sentence to mean that the doctrine of 3,000 realms in a single moment of life is found. Now, when he says the doctrine of 3,000 realms in a single moment of life, what is that? That's Ichinen Sanzen, right? Yep. So, but what is he talking about? He's talking about actual Ichinen Sanzen, which is the whole point of the opening of the eyes, because this is where we get the qualification of what is actual Ichinen Sanzen versus Tentai's Ichinen Sanzen, which comes from the second chapter, right? He's just said, you know, the Daishonin has said, you know, the doctrine of 3,000 realms in a momentary state of existence only exists in one place, hidden in the depths of the 16th chapter, right? So he's immediately saying the Ichinen Sanzen that you all are aware of now is the one that Tentai theorized, and it's theoretical. All right, so Nichikan interpreted this sentence to mean that the doctrine of 3,000 realms in a single moment of life is found only in the Lotus Sutra, not in any other sutra. So none of, like the Mahevrochana or the flower garland that stole anything to do with 3,000 realms from Tentai's teaching and stuck it in, it's not there. Real 3,000 realms is not there. He says, only the lifespan, 16th chapter of the essential teaching, latter half, not the theoretical teaching, first half of the Lotus Sutra, does actual Ichinen Sanzen exist in. Do you understand? Do you understand? Yes. Right? In other words, the Tentai is not going to do you any. The Tentai Ichinen Sanzen is not going to do you any good in the latter day of the law. You're not going to be able to attain enlightenment from that. You're not doing Makashikan, right? Okay. He says then only in the depths 3. Only in the depths, not on the surface. So again, not from the literal words, but from the actual meaning that is predicated on the clarification that the Daishonin adds in the opening the eyes to qualify the fivefold comparison. Do you understand? To create the categorical stepladder that says non-Buddhist teachings compared to Buddhist teachings. Non-Buddhist teachings are Hinayana. Buddhist teachings are Mahayana. When we go to the Agamas versus the other sutras, the Agamas are Hinayana. Everything else is Mahayana. When we go to provisional Mahayana, which is everything besides the Lotus Sutra, to true Mahayana, which is the Lotus Sutra, all of that is now Hinayana. And the Lotus Sutra is Mahayana. Then when we get to the Lotus Sutra, the theoretical the first 14 chapters are Hinayana, and the last 14 chapters are Mahayana. And then when we get to the Buddhism of the harvest, which is the last 14 chapters, versus the Buddhism of the sowing, which is Nam-myoho Renge-kyo. Buddhism of the harvest is Hinayana. Buddhism of the harvest is Hinayana. Okay? So, let me finish this up then. You understand the point that I'm trying to make. The hidden in the depths and not on the surface of the chapter of the sutra. The former indicates the Buddhism of the sowing, and the latter the Buddhism of the harvest. These three levels of comparison reveal the ultimate teaching of Nichiren. These three levels of comparison reveal the ultimate teaching of Nichiren, or the Buddhism of the sowing, as being Nam-myoho Renge-kyo of the three great secret laws. Now, why did they make sure that they put in there of the three great secret laws? Again, what is the significance of the three great secret laws? First of all, they were unknown. That's why they're called secret. Okay? But again, they cover the requirement of precepts, meditation, and wisdom that are required of all Buddhists. So the three great secret laws allows the teaching of the Buddhism of the sowing to accommodate that aspect so that actual Ichinen Sanzen can lead to Buddhahood in your present form. Do you understand? Without there being a conflict of doctrine in any way. In any way. Even though they're completely separate, they still overlay. And he says these three levels, okay, the Buddhism of the sowing as being Nam-myoho Renge-kyo of the three great secret laws. Nichikan used the term threefold secret teaching because the Buddhism of the sowing, hidden threefold in the depths of the lifespan chapter, was unknown to the other Nichiren schools. Now again, I remind you, when was Nichikan around? 1600 something to 1700 something. Okay, so a full 300 years later, the other Nichiren schools had not discovered the Buddhism of the sowing of actual Ichinen Sanzen. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. All right, so then to qualify further what I've just said to you, I was going to read this, but I'm not because I don't want to get too far behind on time. But if you want to know why I was able to say what I just said without slandering anything, then you need to understand the Daishonin's teachings, and you need to have read most of them, okay? And go to page 468 of volume 2 of the writings of Nichiren Daishonin. You will see the differences between Hinayana and Mahayana. And here in the first 2 pages, over to about right here, page 470. So 1, 2, and like one full paragraph. He says exactly what I just said. Okay? Basically qualifying that as my disciples, you should now view Hinayana as anything other than the Buddhism of the sowing. Okay? That anything other than the Buddhism of the sowing is provisional. It has no functionality in the latter day of the law other than to lead you to the Buddhism of the sowing. Are you with me? So again, I have already read this Gosho to you also before. I highly encourage you to go to volume 2. You can get it on the internet. Read this Gosho. It's a great Gosho. All of these Goshos in volume 2 are actually all great Goshos. And then if there's anybody that has a problem with anything I'm saying, I would just remind you that I take on the same attitude as the Daishonin from page 384. though people may hate me, they cannot possibly alter the fact of my enlightenment from the true aspect of all phenomena. So let's go to.
I send a link to the Facebook later.
Okay, good, great. Let's go on with number 3 of the fivefold comparison, page 47. And as you're attacked as you go on through life, because you've studied harder, you've made the effort to understand, and you tell people things that they don't want to hear because they have not taken the time to understand, always find that paragraph, that sentence. It's on the heritage of no, it's on, I just lost it already. I'll find it in a moment. True aspect of all phenomena, 383, hang on. Where was I? Just here, okay. It's on page 384. This is really, really, really a key go-show, but that's the key phrase in it for me. All right, so we ready? We're going to page 47. True Mahayana reveals that all people are endowed with Buddhahood. Why? It says there, true Mahayana reveals that all people are endowed with Buddhahood. Why? What's true Mahayana? I just qualified all this stuff. I just riffed all this stuff. Why? Why does that say? What's true Mahayana? The Lotus Sutra. No. Get this. You got to get all these little these little true Mahayana. Okay, we're still talking about from the standpoint of the 4 teachings. That's what that Aishon is speaking from. Okay, true Mahayana reveals that all people are endowed with Buddhahood, because that's the first place that occurs. Theoretical Ichinen Sanzen occurs in the 2nd chapter, right? Yes. Expedient Means chapter. That's true Mahayana. It's Lotus Sutra, right? So the Lotus Sutra reveals that all people are endowed with Buddhahood. All right? True Mahayana, point 3, 47, page 47. True Mahayana is superior to provisional Mahayana. The Mahayana teachings can also be divided into 2 further categories, true Mahayana and provisional Mahayana. The Lotus Sutra, which constitutes true Mahayana, so again, if you say true Mahayana, you're talking about the Lotus Sutra, all right? Elucidates that the lives of all people are originally endowed with the world of Buddhahood, because we get into beginningless 9 worlds and beginningless Buddhahood, right? The fundamental cause of happiness. All living beings alike possess the Buddha nature. The Lotus Sutra also clarifies the truth of life, that all people can tap and reveal that Buddha nature. In Expedient Means, the 2nd chapter, it sets forth the 4 aspects of Buddha wisdom: opening, showing, awaking, and helping people enter the path of Buddha wisdom. The pre-Lotus Sutra Mahayana teachings, which make up the provisional Mahayana, insist that the people of the 2 vehicles, who are despised because they only seek their own enlightenment, which we all now know are the provisional teachings. They're like disrespecting the Hinayanas from the Agamas, right? That's what the people of the 2 vehicles who are despised because they only seek their own enlightenment. That's where that attitude came from. That's what I wrote. That's what I read for you. As well as evil people and women who are believed incapable of becoming happy, are not originally endowed with the Buddha nature. In this way, these teachings limit the causes of happiness. They are not true Mahayana, but rather teachings expounded as an expedient means to accommodate the popular beliefs of the time. They are merely provisional teachings. On the other hand, the Lotus Sutra, the true teaching, elucidates the Buddha's actual enlightenment to how all people, including people of the 2 vehicles, evil people and women, can equally attain Buddhahood. It also clarifies the doctrine of 3,000 realms in a single moment of life, on which this teaching is based. The Buddha's real intention is for all people to become happy, and it is in the Lotus Sutra, which expounds the principles that make this possible, that the Buddha's true enlightenment is directly revealed, okay? So now we qualified the Lotus Sutra because we got the 2nd chapter and we got the 16th chapter contributing to a concept of all people being Buddhas. There's 2 different perspectives of Ichinen Sanzen there. You with me? Okay, continuing on 47. The essential teaching overcomes the fault of the earlier teachings. Okay? 4. The essential teaching of the Lotus Sutra is superior to the theoretical teaching of the Lotus Sutra. Even though all people possess within them the world of Buddhahood, the fundamental cause of happiness, whether they can actually bring it forth is another matter. Viewed in terms of the eternity of life and the principles of cause and effect operating over past, present, and future, the life state we experience in the present is due to our actions, karma, from countless former existences. The earlier sutras, including the theoretical teaching first half of the Lotus Sutra, teach that in order to change that karma, we need to steadfastly carry out good actions over an extremely long period of time and accumulate the positive benefits of those actions in our lives. According to this view, attaining enlightenment requires countless kalpas of Buddhist practice. Why? Because in the theoretical teaching, they are still viewing Shakyamuni as having attained Buddhahood for the first time under the Bodhi tree. That's the thing that makes the second half, the 16th chapter, version or perception of Ichinen Sanzen, actual Ichinen Sanzen, because that is the point in time where he qualifies. It has been numberless major world system dust particle kalpas since I in fact attained Buddhahood, right? So, before it seemed like it took lifetimes to do it. Now that's where it's revealed, no, it's an aspect of the life that you have at this moment. You just have to become aware of it in order to actualize it. You have to understand it theoretically before you can do that, though. You have to go through a process of learning and realization to be able to perceive that truth that already exists. All right? According to this view, attaining enlightenment requires countless kalpas of Buddhist practice. First 14 chapters of even the Lotus Sutra. Furthermore, these sutras teach that Shakyamuni Buddha achieved enlightenment for the first time in his contemporaneous lifetime in India as a result of practice over an incalculably long period of time. This conception of attaining Buddhahood derives from the flawed approach of abhorring and seeking to eliminate the earthly desires innate in the 9 worlds. Do you understand what they're saying there? Insisting that only by extinguishing our lives of the 9 worlds cause can we bring forth the life of Buddhahood effect. Do you understand what they're saying there? So all those teachings say Buddhahood comes from a process of perfection, okay, which can never be achieved in reality. There is no example of anyone alive that's done that. It's always projected as somebody from another world, from another place, but nobody that's just a common mortal like us being able to do it. All right? By contrast, the essential latter half teachings of the Lotus Sutra explain that Shakyamuni actually attained Buddhahood in the remote past, numberless major world system dust particle kalpas ago. And because his life as a bodhisattva has endured unceasingly ever since, he has continually appeared in various forms to teach living beings this truth, the Lotus Sutra. This reveals the true image of the Buddha. In other words, the 9 worlds in the world of Buddhahood are also inherent and ever abiding in the life of the Buddha Shakyamuni and in all of us.
Yeah.
By explaining this fact, the essential teaching reveals that we can manifest the world of Buddhahood in our lives of the 9 worlds, just as we are. Just as we are. So that means without you doing anything in this moment to change who you are in this moment, you can tap into that without changing any other aspect of your life. There is no perfection necessary other than the perfection of wisdom, which is that realization. That's what the perfection of wisdom is, to realize that you are the Buddha exactly as you are. That's Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi. That is that understanding. Nothing more. All right? Pardon me. By explaining this fact, the essential teaching reveals that we can manifest the world of Buddhahood in our lives of the 9 worlds, just as we are, thereby opening the way of attaining Buddhahood in our present form. Actual Ichinen Sanzen. 5, on page 48, second column. Making the Gohonzon our mirror and Nichiren our model. This is really key. Okay? Number 5, the Buddhism of sowing is superior to the Buddhism of the harvest. Right? The essential Lotus Sutra teaching opens the way to attain Buddhahood in our present form. But when viewed in the context of its literal surface meaning, we see that Shakyamuni can only acquire eternal life as a result of practicing the Bodhisattva way prior to his enlightenment in the remote past. Achieving such everlasting life necessitated him reaching the first stage of security, which is what? It's the 11th of the 52 stages, okay, as theorized by Tintai. Again, just like theoretical Nichiren Sanzen comes from Tintai, not from something that's literally expounded in the Lotus Sutra, which is the state of non-regression, okay, which is, again, exactly what I've already said to you guys. For us, it's hearing Nam Myoho Renge Kyo the first time. You've now heard the name and the words, the name and the words of the truth, which means that you are no longer a Buddha in theory. You've gone from stage 1 of the 6 stages of practice to stage 2. All right? All right. So then, having reached that stage, he could, with resolute faith, break through all fundamental darkness or illusion, attain wisdom, and perceive that the 9 worlds in the world of Buddhahood are innate and ever abiding in his own life, which is exactly what we do with our chanting of Nam Myoho Renge Kyo and the Buddhism of the sowing. That same realization is what I'm just talking about. Do you understand? Everybody's with me, right?
Yes.
All right, so the practice, so there's no difference in the result. You follow? The practice required to reach the first stage of security is extremely difficult, however, as it relates to the Makashikan, and as is attaining the wisdom to actually perceive the world of Buddhahood in one's life. It is far beyond the ability of ordinary people. Accordingly, from the standpoint of its literal meaning, the essential teaching does not directly open the way for ordinary people to attain Buddhahood in their present form and achieve enlightenment in this lifetime. Do you understand? Okay, because it doesn't reveal Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, which is why you're able to achieve enlightenment in this lifetime. But that's the Buddhism of the sowing. This is still referring to the Lotus Sutra, which is the Buddhism of the harvest. Do you understand?
Yes.
All right. But the teaching implicit in the Lotus Sutra's depth, namely Nichiren Buddhism, or the Buddhism of the sowing, directly reveals Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, which is both the driving force behind Shakyamuni's Bodhisattva practice in attaining the first stage of security in the remote past, as well as the fundamental law he perceived at that time. He perceived Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. By seeking and faithfully embracing this law, an ordinary person can immediately gain the fruit of Buddhahood. All right? Which is, again, by just one Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, you heard the name and the words of the truth. You're no longer a Buddha in theory. You're a Buddha on the path, on your way to Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi, which will be actual Ichinen Sanzen. Do you understand? Nichiren left us the Gohonzon, in which he faithfully depicts the world of Buddhahood he realized in his own life through Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, while remaining an ordinary person like ourselves. That's why this is all germane to us. Just as he's the example. That's why he's saying Nichiren the model as our model, the Gohonzon as our mirror, and Nichiren as our model, because Nichiren is the original example of his teaching creating the effect of actual Ichinen Sanzen in a common mortal. Attaining Buddhahood in your present form, which has been spoken of throughout the sutras, okay, but never been, it's spoken of, but there's no actual example. There's a Buddhist term for that I can't think of at the moment, but it's the whole point. Okay, so he says, with the Gohonzon as our mirror and Nichiren as our model, we can instantly bring forth that enlightened state from within our own lives through our deep faith and confidence that we too possess Buddhahood. So, where does it come from? I'll say it again. With the Gohonzon as our mirror and Nichiren as our model, we can instantly bring forth that enlightened state from within our lives by chanting Nam-myoho Renge-kyo to the Gohonzon, by emulating the practice that Nichiren left us through his own attainment, his own life, the process of himself attaining actual Ichinen Sanzen. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. All right. From within our own, with the Gohonzon as our mirror and Nichiren as our model, we can instantly bring forth that enlightened state from within our own lives through our deep faith and confidence that we too possess Buddhahood. So how do we do it?
Chanting.
Yes, but how do we do, what is the aspect or element? He just said it, that allows this to occur. Because in the absence of this element, there's no way to get there. I don't care how much you know. I don't care how much you know.
That's free.
With the
Faith.
faith.
Through, he says specifically, through our deep faith and confidence. That's faith. You know, confidence in the teaching. Confidence in those teachers that teach us. Okay, why did I have confidence in this? Because the Daishonin had already stated in the Gosho. And then I was able to correlate it to what President Ikeda was saying. All right? That confidence is faith. Never give up. Because if you go through this process, you will be attacked. There will be things that occur that try and throw you off the course of being able to believe this truth. Understand that. You'll be attacked by the 3 obstacles and the 4 devils, even the 3rd devil. Anything to get you to think otherwise. Anything to make you think there must be something wrong, or there's something wrong. I'm getting resistance. I'm catching, karma that shouldn't exist in my life because of my devotion to the Gohonzon. People, yeah. Does everybody understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
All right. So, I just wanted to make sure you understand. How do you get there? Through and only through deep faith. Now, if you have deep faith and confidence, then you must be chanting Daimoku. Okay? Because if you're not chanting Daimoku and you say you have deep faith and confidence, you're a bullshitter. Let me say that straight up. It's a bunch of happy talk. It's for the sake of other people. It certainly must not be for the sake of yourself, because you're not taking the action that the wisdom that would come in keeping with deep faith and confidence. You're not doing what the Daishonin said to do. He didn't say just believe what I say, did he? He said do what I did. Okay? So we got to do what he did.
Yes.
Okay? Or it doesn't count. It's theoretical. You're still practicing Hinayana, not Mahayana. Okay? The teaching, it says in the middle of page 49, the teaching of cause and effect in a single moment of life. All right? Accordingly, the ultimate causality is contained in the ordinary person's strong and deep mind of faith. If we have the strength of faith to break through fundamental darkness and illusion, then our lives in the 9 worlds will manifest their eternal nature, the beginningless 9 worlds, and we can attain the life state of Buddhahood. Now, what did that just say? God, I mean, it's just what I just said prior to it, and I didn't read all this so that I'm ahead of my... okay, let me say it again. Accordingly, the ultimate causality... What's the ultimate causality? Nam-myoho Renge-kyo. Right? Isn't that the ultimate causality? It's the cause, right? All right. Accordingly, the ultimate causality, the Nam-myoho Renge-kyo of our lives, is contained in the ordinary person's strong and deep mind of faith. What is this mind of faith? It's the same mind as Nichiren. It's the mind of the Bodhisattva of the earth. It's not the mind that said, give me, save my ass, do something for me. It's, Master, I have faith, I will persevere. I'm going to whip the ass on it. I'm the Buddha. Do you understand? There's a difference in approach.
Yeah.
One is as the Buddha. One is as a Bodhisattva of the earth. The other is a beggar. Okay? Praying to something that doesn't exist because it's not outside of you. So if you're praying to something outside of you, you're praying to nothing. You're praying to your imagination.
It's weak.
It's weak.
Right.
Okay, so the strong mind of faith is to perceive the Gohonzon and the teaching correctly. Okay, as being something that manifests from your life. You are also an ordinary person just like Nichiren. It's so important that you understand Nichiren's not different than you. Because otherwise, then the whole thing that he did is like, yeah, but that was him. Okay? It doesn't apply to us equally. We have to be equal to him for it to apply to us equally. Do you understand? This is the inherent important point. All right? If we have the strength of faith to break through fundamental darkness and illusion, so what's that saying? If we have the strength of faith, what does that mean? To break through fundamental darkness. That means when the devilish functions attack us, when we're progressing because we've decided we want to attain Buddhahood in our present form. So we're making the cause. We're studying the teaching. We're taking action. Okay, don't forget, actual Ichinen Sansen is based on action. You don't achieve this state of life without seeking it. It's not just like something that happens accidentally. You gain enough wisdom to realize, aha, shit, this is what I should be going for. I shouldn't be going for momentary states of existent relief, which has been if it helped me. I should be going for my eternal original identity. Right? Because that I'm going to awaken that and it's never going to go to sleep. Even if it's already been awake from a past lifetime, and that's why I'm experiencing it now. It doesn't matter if I'm experiencing it now. If I've turned it on now, it's turned on forever. Okay? So one of two conditions are going to bring it forth in my life. But the aspect of my life that will have to be there every time I do that is that I'm going to have a deep mind of faith, and I'm going to have to overcome fundamental darkness. Because the devil of the sixth heaven is going to try and jump out in every lifetime. Okay? I must serve as the living example if I've experienced it before. I must persevere through it if it's my first time around. Either way, I'm a bodhisattva of the earth. It doesn't matter. Do you understand?
Yes.
All people are bodhisattvas of the earth. That's nothing more than the first stage of practice. Right? That potentiality.
Yeah.
Okay, so then our lives in the nine worlds will manifest their eternal nature, which is beginningless nine worlds, which means actual Ichinen Sansen. And once we get to beginningless nine worlds, what's already contained within beginningless nine worlds? Oh yeah. What's already contained within beginningless nine worlds? Let me read what he said again. If we have the strength of faith to break through fundamental darkness and illusion, okay, just see, so that we see things as they actually are, that we are Buddhas, that we're not just common mortals, then our lives in the nine worlds will manifest their eternal nature, the beginningless nine worlds, and we can attain the life state of Buddhahood. Why? Because there's a prerequisite of the eternal nine worlds? Is that like the admission fee? No. The attainment, okay, then our lives in the nine worlds will manifest their eternal nature, the beginningless nine worlds. What is already contained within the beginningless nine worlds? We already read it in this Go Show. The beginningless 10th world is already innately part of, it's inseparable from beginningless nine worlds. So if you attain the state of beginningless nine worlds, you have attained the state of beginningless 10th world. It's already there.
Yes.
Do you understand?
Yes.
That's why he says that sentence the way he says that sentence. You don't have to go for beginningless Buddhahood as something, get the beginningless nine worlds, which is to perceive yourself as a bodhisattva of the earth. As having the potential of being the Buddha, of knowing that you are the Buddha. That's overcoming fundamental darkness, breaking through fundamental darkness. Do you understand the paragraph the way I want you to understand it now?
Yes.
I'm going to read it one more time and then go on to the next paragraph. Accordingly, the ultimate causality is contained in the ordinary person's strong and deep mind of faith. If we have the strength of faith to break through fundamental darkness, that faith is never give up when we're being attacked by devilish functions. To break through fundamental darkness illusion, then our lives in the nine worlds, in the realm of the reality of existence, will manifest their eternal nature, the beginningless nine worlds, our true identity in this Sahe world, okay? And we can attain the life state of Buddhahood, which is inseparable from the beginningless nine worlds. In the mystic principle of true cause, Nichiren succinctly clarifies the relative superiority and depth of the various Buddhist teachings based on the principle of cause and effect. He describes four views of causality, in which the highest is the teaching of cause and effect in a single moment of life. The provisional pre-Lotus Sutra teachings taught as temporary expedients set forth a view of enlightenment that abhors and seeks to eliminate the earthly desires of the nine worlds. Okay? I don't want that. They maintain that only by freeing oneself of the nine worlds cause can one attain the world of Buddhahood effect. As a result, Nichiren says they embody a teaching of cause and effect of disparate nature. All right? Disparate means differing, of opposite, of opposition. The theoretical Lotus Sutra teaching, meanwhile, does everybody understand that?
Yes.
Okay. The theoretical Lotus Sutra teaching, meanwhile, because it explains that the nine worlds and the world of Buddhahood are both inherent in our lives, which is what I was just talking about in the last paragraph, represents a teaching of cause and effect of identical nature. All right? And the essential teaching, does everybody understand? Yes. Okay. And the essential teaching of the Lotus Sutra, because it clarifies the true body of the Buddha, is characterized by both the nine worlds and the world of Buddhahood abiding eternally over past, present, and future. The original state constitutes a teaching of cause and effect of eternal coexistence. Do you understand? But now we get into actual Ichinen Senzen. In contrast of these, Nichiren's unique essential teaching, that is, Nam-myoho Renge-kyo of the three great secret laws. Now, why does he again? You got to stick in of the three great secret laws, because otherwise we can't be the actual Buddha, that we become a Buddha, actual Buddha. Do you understand? All Buddhas must have mastered precepts, meditation, and wisdom. Right? To not be in conflict, that's already contained within the three great secret laws. The Gohonzon, Nam-myoho Renge-kyo, and the place where the Gohonzon is enshrined. Right? So, in contrast to these, Nichiren's unique, only Nichiren teaches this, essential teaching, that is Nam-myoho Renge-kyo of the three great secret laws, hidden in the depths of the lifespan, chapter, the 16th chapter of the Lotus Sutra, elucidates that both the nine worlds and the world of Buddhahood are contained in the ordinary person's mind of faith. It also expounds that through faith, one can manifest the world of Buddhahood at any time and attain enlightenment in his or her present form. That is why it is called a teaching of cause and effect in a single moment of life. Because in that single moment of life, when you realize, aha, I've understood it theoretically, but now I know I am the Buddha. I can never deny I am the Buddha. I'm not being arrogant in saying I am the Buddha. I can never give that back. I don't really care what you think about me for saying I am the Buddha. No matter how you may hate me, you cannot deny my enlightenment. Because it's based on the Buddhism of the Soul. It's based on the same ordinary person becoming the Buddha that Nichiren did. Do you understand?
Yes.
Do you understand? So when I go to that thing from the true aspect of all phenomena, I'm not trying to find a cover line for the arrogance of declaring myself to be the Buddha, or to have saying I have attained actual Ichinen Sanzen. I have attained actual Ichinen Sanzen. I am the Buddha. You could not convince me otherwise. Okay? And my life constantly demonstrates that as far as I'm concerned. Okay? So, that's what he's getting to here. Do you understand? Is everybody with me?
Yes.
So you got to know where that is. Always remember that's there. When people look at you like, whoa.
Look at your face.
You just go back to page 384 and you go, look, no matter how much you may hate me, the one thing you can't change is the fact that I am the Buddha. Because that's not up to you. You're not the Buddha maker. I'm the Buddha maker for my life.
Yes.
Nobody else can be. Nobody else has a right to qualify yes or no that I achieved.
Yeah.
Actual Ichinen Sanzen. you say I didn't, then you're full of shit. How could you know? How could you know what's really in my life or what I go through as a result of it? You couldn't. I don't tell everybody everything, just almost everything. All right, so where am I? The provisional? No, where am I? Okay, in contrast to these. Yeah, no, that we got that. Okay. All right, yeah. Okay. In Nichiren Buddhism, one's mind or heart is certainly key. Why does he say that? Because what's he really talking about that? He's talking about faith. Okay? What he's saying in this paragraph, he's talking about faith. In Nichiren Buddhism, one's mind or heart is certainly key. As Nichiren says, it is the heart that is important. Because that heart or that mind of faith is what allows you to reveal your true identity. Page 49. A self that embodies the fundamental purpose of life. A self that embodies the fundamental purpose of life. That means you, a self. You, a self. This is what? Viewing your life. All right? As the view of causality deepens with each progression through the fivefold comparison, the significance of the sovereign teacher and parent whom all people should revere also deepens. Even though figures deemed worthy of being respected as sovereign teacher and parent may appear in the non-Buddhist scriptures and the religions and philosophies of ancient India and China, their teachings failed to view causality clearly. There's no single moment of life. Right? I just went through 4 definitions that the Daishonin says. The one that's important is the one that makes actual Ichinen Sons and go on. Anything prior, other than that's mind candy. It's got no real consequence. It doesn't make you the Buddha. Only that last one makes you the Buddha. Consequently, no matter how widely those who embodied the virtues of sovereign teacher and parent were venerated, or how much their supremacy was stressed, they could not provide others. They could not provide people with a clear purpose in life. As a result, people either led lives of blind searching or of passive obedience to authority.
Yeah.
You understand? All right. Next, even within Buddhism, the Hinayana and provisional Mahayana teachings espouse a view of attaining Buddhahood and of causality that abhorred and seek to eliminate earthly desires of the 9 worlds. In these teachings, the Buddha is revered as a special being. Adherents either led lives satisfied with the small goal of simply eliminating their own earthly desires in the case of Hinayana, or lives of empty illusion waiting to be saved by some great fictional Buddha of universal salvation in provisional Mahayana. Right? Because what's the only Buddha that really exists? The Buddha in your own life. Do you have? I don't have control of the Buddha. I can perceive the Buddha nature in all of you, but it's only manifest because of your life.
Yes.
All right. In either case, a passive way of life is unavoidable in those views. But the Lotus Sutra, which is true Mahayana, reveals the true mutual possession of the 10 worlds. What is that? What's the true mutual possession of the 10 worlds? Actual Ichinen Sons. Okay? It elucidates that living beings in the 9 worlds are also endowed with the world of Buddhahood, revealed in the theoretical teaching, and that the Buddha, who actually attained enlightenment in the remote past, also possesses the 9 worlds, revealed in the essential teaching. Therefore, it opens the way for people to live with profound hope, realizing that they can manifest from within the supreme life state of Buddhahood. But the description of the Buddha, who realized enlightenment in the remote past, centers primarily on his having attained the effect of Buddhahood in its complete and perfect form. As a result, he remains merely an object for people to worship and idolize, and does not become an example they can emulate in seeking to actualize the causality of attaining Buddhahood for themselves. Do you understand?
Yes.
By contrast, in Nichiren Buddhism, Nichiren himself serves as the example of an ordinary person becoming a Buddha through the power of faith or strong inner resolve. Nichiren's struggles, his selfless practice, his vows, his heart of a Lion King, as detailed in his writings, all show us the single-minded determination or spirit necessary for an ordinary person to attain Buddhahood. This is clear from such statements as, like Nichiren, for example, from a letter from Sada, or you need not seek far for an example from the supremacy of the law. The fivefold comparison, by clarifying the ultimate principle of cause and effect, sets forth the highest goal or direction for continually improving our lives. Ultimately, it is a teaching that reveals the supreme, sovereign, teacher, and parent functioning as the ultimate example for ordinary people of the latter day of attaining Buddhahood in this lifetime. Everybody's with me?
Yes.
The opening of the eyes is a writing that proclaims to all people of the latter day that Nichiren Daishonin is the votary of the Lotus Sutra, and he serves as the supreme model of an ordinary person attaining enlightenment. That is why it is called the writing that clarifies the object of devotion in terms of the person. Any questions? Okay, done with chapter 4, on to chapter 5, page 51. A vow for the enlightenment of all people, the power deep within our lives that can overcome all obstacles. What's he talking about there in that title?
Buddhahood.
Yes, in essence, yes. But how did you get to that point? A vow for the attainment, for the enlightenment of all people. This is the 5th stage of the 6 stages. Okay, that's the vow of the Bodhisattva of the earth to uphold the law. That's no longer chanting for benefits, but chanting as an extension of the eternal law of Nam-myoho Renge-kyo and an original disciple of the original teacher. Do you understand?
Yes.
The vow. How many times have I gone like this, you know? Like this, the vow, the vow, the vow. Okay, a vow for the enlightenment of all people means being of the same mind as Nichiren, right?
Yep.
That's what that is. That's what that vow is being of the same mind as Nichiren. The power deep, and what that does is that unlocks our capacity or our potential to achieve actual Ichinen Sanzen. Right? What's actual Ichinen Sanzen? Stage 6. Anotara Samyak Sambodai. This is talking about stage 5. This is being a bodhisattva of the earth, aspiring toward that state of life. Okay? So this is for everybody that has not achieved actual Ichinen Sanzen but wants to. How do you get there? First of all, you have to take the vow. In the absence of the vow, you're playing with yourself. It doesn't work. All right? This is how you unlock the power deep within your life that can overcome all obstacles. So, when people say they want to benefit, I want benefits. I can chant for anything. If you're chanting for anything without there being a purpose for why you're seeking that benefit. Do you understand? This is what allows you to get miracle benefits. This is the absence of this is why people chant and chant and chant and they say they didn't get a benefit. Because they're not doing it on the basis of how that occurs. That power is the power of the Buddha. Okay? This is what unlocks the power of the Buddha in your life. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
All right, so, reading from the Gosho again. I, Nichiren, am the only person in all Japan who understands this. Go ahead, does that sound arrogant, huh?
Yeah.
Whoa! No, it's the truth. I, Nichiren, am the only person in all of Japan who understands this, that the other Buddhist schools proffer slanderous teachings and cause people to fall into the evil paths of existence. But if I utter so much as a word concerning it, then parents, brothers, and teachers will surely censure me, and the ruler of the nation will take steps against me. On the other hand, I am fully aware that if I do not speak out, I will be lacking in compassion. I have considered which course to take in the light of the teachings of the Lotus and Nirvana Sutras. If I remain silent, I may escape persecutions in this lifetime. but in my next life, I will most certainly fall into the hell of incessant suffering. If I speak out, I am fully aware that I will have to contend with the 3 obstacles and the 4 devils.
Yes.
I am fully aware that I will have to contend with the 3 obstacles and the 4 devils. But of these 2 courses, surely the latter is the one to choose. If I were to falter in my determination in the face of my persecutions by the sovereign, however, it would be better not to speak out. In other words, if I'm going to be a sissy about this, I better not even go down that path. All right? While thinking this over, I recalled the teachings of the Treasure Tower chapter on the 6 difficult and the 9 easy acts. Persons like myself who are of paltry strength might not be able to lift Mount Sumeru and toss it about. Persons like myself who are lacking in supernatural powers might still shoulder a load of dry grass and yet remain unburned in the fire at the end of the kalpa of decline. And persons like myself who are without wisdom might still read and memorize as many sutras as there are sands in the Ganges. But such acts are not difficult, we are told, when compared to the difficulty of embracing even one phrase or verse of the Lotus Sutra in the latter day of the law. Nevertheless, I vowed to summon up a powerful and unconquerable desire for the salvation of all living beings and never falter in my efforts, okay? So that's the mind of Nichiren, all right? That explains and expresses Nichiren's mind. That's the mind that we take on as bodhisattvas of the earth. That's the oneness of mentor and disciple. When we read out here, many bodies, one mind, Itai Doshin, that's what that's talking about. Being of that mind. All right? But I again say here that he's basically understand again. If you went out and spoke as I speak, talking about being the Buddha or achieving actual Ichi and Sanzen, there will be people that are going to attack you. They're going to say, who the hell do you think you are? I would say, I'm a disciple of Nichiren, and I'm one of the same mind as Nichiren. That's why I'm saying what I'm saying. That's his teaching. But I can't be afraid to say that. I could keep it to myself. I could have complete confidence in all of this. And because I know people are going to give me shit for saying that out loud, I could just not say it. But if I don't say it, how can I show it to you? How can I help you understand what I've come to understand? Okay? So I've got to be willing to take the shit for sounding arrogant. Okay? Just as Nichiren says, I know if I say this, I'm the only one that understands this. I know that. But if I say it, I know I'm going to take crap from everybody. They're all going to hate me. Yet if I don't take that crap, if I don't volunteer to take that crap for the sake of them making the same breakthrough, then I lack the compassion that is the whole basis of why this teaching exists. So I'm not going to worry about that. Okay? And I don't worry about it because Nichiren told me not to worry about it. And President Ikeda is saying the same damn thing. Everybody wants to attack Daisaku Ikeda, this arrogant son of a bitch. Okay? That's making up stuff as he goes along. That's created his own... all the things they say about President Ikeda outside of the Soka Gakkai. All right? We've got to be willing to take on the same kind of hubris that he has. That's where his courage comes from as well. Trust me. It's from this teaching. Was it 9 o'clock already? Okay, so I got through... All right. I got through the actual Gosho reading, and we'll start again next week on page 52, the beginning of the text of chapter 5. And you're going to love chapter 5. God does it clarify a lot. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.